Right. Okay. Well, I'll start talking about how I got involved with casting then. Well, I guess I started casting in February. I got involved at a Liverpool tournament that I attended that was run by this singular guy who'd put like £1,000 of his own money into it. And he got like 16 teams in, and it was really good fun. And at one point, they were just taking turns casting at the desk. I said, "Oh, can I go up and have a go?" And they were like, "Yeah, sure." So I started casting with one of the sort of more seasoned cast. I think he was called Wawa or something. And then there was another guy who cast with me. And all the people in Twitch chat saying, "Who's this guy? He's really good." And I was like, "Oh, cool." So apparently I'm pretty decent at this. So then I sort of took that with me, and I went and did another casting tournament just online. And then I came across the Newell because I was like, I put a Reddit post up that was saying something like, where is the British University esports scene? I've heard nothing about it. America have got one. Let's get this going, guys. And it got a bit of attention going, and it got to front page Reddit. And then suddenly Ian posted on it, I think, and then Josh got alert, and then Tundra originally wanted to form our own breakaway one. And I was originally keen on the idea because I was like, oh, I would quite like to be in charge. And then I realized how much work it was going to be to do it myself, as Josh knows. And I was like, actually, I might just go and get involved with these guys because they've got a pretty sick website already, and I probably could just offer my casting skills to them if they need it. And then so I did the first Newell tournament with Josh, and it just kind of snowballed from there. Obviously, Josh wasn't casting, but he got me involved as a caster, and I kind of went from there. Then I did the second tournament and part of the third tournament, and obviously came back for the qualification tournament. So that's essentially how I got involved, and it's been a really good time so far. I've done a couple of other tournaments here and there. I did the Harbinger Esports tournament. I've done a bit for EGL, who I no longer really work for. And then got involved with NESL, but I haven't done anything with them so far, so I don't think I will, though, because they've just got so many casters, there's just not much point. So I enjoy working for the Newell. I think I'll probably just stick there. It's the easiest thing for me, and there's a good group of guys. Obviously, Josh is brilliant. He's really dedicated to it. You can see there's a lot of passion in what he does. And Ian, and Tom really are all like the most hardworking people I've met in terms of trying to get esports out there. I like casting with Dan, and obviously bringing Theory in as well. He was one of my good friends that I'd met a couple of times. So, yeah, I mean, it's been absolutely amazing so far. And that's basically how I got involved. So if anyone else wants to share their story.
Josh.
God.
Josh. Come on,
Oh,
you're the main guy. You're the main guy. Go for it.
Yeah, so I came to university about just over 3 years ago, and I thought it'd be really cool, as a lot of people seem to have thought, that it'd be cool to have some sort of inter-university tournament. So we set on working on that. We put this terrible website together and tried charging people to come and join. But nothing absolutely set up, and surprisingly nobody signed up, which is a bit disappointing. So next year we came on and we did lots of small, just one-off tournaments and a lot of different games just to see what worked. And League of Legends were just a runaway success. We tried things like Team Fortress and Counter-Strike, which seemed quite popular, but this League of Legends was sort of cut above everything else. So we stuck with that for a bit, run a few tournaments for that, and it started building a bit of momentum. And last year we ran sort of our first proper season where we had about 16 teams turn up. Dan, but you come third?
I think I came third, dude. Yeah, and then Abertay was fourth. I had 3 pentas that year. I had 3 pentas.
So, yeah, I mean, from there we had about 15, 16 teams turn up each week, and then we ran our pre-season, and we just ran our qualification tournament where we've gone from having 15 teams to 100 teams sign up, which has just been absolutely mental, which is great to see. But I've been following esports for a number of years now. I got involved with Battlefield 2, which is not really much of an esports title, but played that quite competitively for a bit, and then moved into Call of Duty, where all the unskilled people go. And I played that pretty decent level for a bit, and it's just something that really irritates me is the state of the British esports scene, and that for all these years that I've been following it, nothing's really changed. There isn't one. So now I wanted to try and do my bit, try something a little bit different, a little bit innovative to try and help build some sort of a platform, or help supply the British esports scene with something to follow, and some more structured tournaments, and hopefully more players and more teams. Who wants to go
Yeah,
next?
you've done a good job anyway. I mean, to be honest, it's I think one of the best UK tournaments that's been run for solely UK teams. Anyway, I haven't seen many other UK tournaments that has managed to get over 100 UK teams in that are based in the UK. I mean, I've seen European ones do better. Like I know the EGLs get sort of 124, but that's European. So the fact that we've done this in the British esports scene and just had British teams, which I know may seem slightly elitist, but it's what we're trying to do for England and for Britain's esports scene.
Whoa,
I
Scotland.
Think, yeah.
Well, now we've got a Welsh over here. Let's calm down.
You ain't independent yet. But but yeah, I think what we've done, and especially what you guys have done, Josh and Ian and Tom, you've made something that really I think is going to be a footstep for British esports, especially in the League of Legends scene. So yeah, Dan, if you want to take it away.
Oh, really? Alright, okay, I guess I could talk about when I first got into esports, when my friend introduced League of Legends to me, and I was like, right, okay, what's this game? And he was like, alright, just try and play it. I was like, this game is shit! You, like, have to think about what you have to do in it. I could just play Quake, and, like, I don't need to think about Quake. I could just kill people and, get money for it. I used to play Quake 3 in some, like, small local tournaments, and I used to win quite a bit of cash out of that. Then I got into League, obviously, and then we were doing things like LAN parties, like having LAN parties every 4 months with Dundee University, and we were winning each one and keep getting better and better. And I was like, hell, I want to do this more often. I want to start doing like organising tournaments and casting and stuff like that because knowledge and whatnot. And then last year, Snoopy contacted me about having, the UK League of Legends scene getting really big. Unfortunately, things never really kicked off further than some planning for a website, and some, setting up a TS server for everyone, which was under CLG EU at the time, I believe. There was talks about a lot of things they were going to do and try and improve how things were going, because CLG was having a lot of problems at the time. And they ended up, using a lot of their money to go to Korea. Snoopy never really got involved and then just completely ditched the idea completely. So further down the line, after meeting tons of guys to try and get something together, nothing really happened. And then I was in Torment Gaming for a while. That was like, we're all diamond players, all doing our own thing and trying to like get up the rank ladder and playing local tournaments and stuff, where I was playing constantly against teams like Beasts and Dignitas UK. That's where I met people like Bolt and whatnot from, and What the Moose. I played against What the Moose a few times when I was in TG, and then stopped playing for them a while, and then obviously Newell came along. University, the idea that you play weekly and there's going to be some big prize at the end was like, hell, I could do this. This is really interesting. And so this all went on, and then we had all these great battles every week. It was like the top 4 teams were just like always going at it, and it was great fun. But there was never a competition. Like, it was these 4 top teams, and there was never really anyone about these 4 top teams that were ever going to be a threat. So when it came along to the whole idea of me casting, which happened 4 weeks ago, when I had to do the pre-season, it was more of a case of, we have no casters for tonight. Would you like to cast? Like, we really need a caster. So I just jumped at the opportunity. I was like, yeah, why not, right? How hard can it be? So and I think that's how I met you, Kieran.
Mm-hmm.
On that fateful day.
Yeah, so our love triangle of, love line. It's a love line. There was no one else involved.
So hot.
By the way, guys, if you want to, I've just posted the link in the Newell Leads section and the Newell Team Captains section, as well as the National University Esports page for our main Reddit post. If you want to upvote it, we'll get some visibility on it. That'd be good. So over to Tom, I guess. How you got involved?
So yeah, I'm probably the baby of the group in terms of I've probably just arrived at the Newell, really, minus probably a week or 2 later than Dan. But really, I kind of started playing League many years ago after playing Dota, and then playing a bit of Counter-Strike, and realising that it was really hard to actually get any good at the game. So I kind of jumped on the league bandwagon as it started to develop, probably just before season 1 sort of thing. And I played probably from season 2, from season 1 to kind of season 2, and a bit of 3. I played competitively in teams, and managed, basically where it all changed, managed to fluke it to second place at LAN at I-Series, I-46. I've got the big check.
Oh, I was at that. I seen you guys
Yeah, I
play.
was
Yeah.
there.
You were 80.
Yeah.
You were that. What was it?
80k.
80k. Yeah,
Um,
guys. I remember that.
And we just fluked it to crap. And what really kind of jumped out at me there was that we are shit compared to VYE. And
I
to
watched
actually
that
get
game.
anywhere, it is going to take a lot of work.
Where
So
did
at
you
that
meet?
point,
Where'd you play? Where did you play on the team?
I played AD carry.
Ah.
I got like crapped on by an Aurelia or something. But I think we were just ecstatic to be on the stage. We were like, "Hi, mum," that kind of situation. We didn't care. But at that point, we kind of all thought, let's just try with our schoolwork, because we've got more chance there of actually ever being a professional gamer or making any kind of money from this game properly.
I saw you guys on stage that year, and it was amazing. Like, you all looked ecstatic. I think the only player on your team that really has the chance to make it if he tried really hard would be your brother.
Yeah.
Because obviously he's really skilled. But I just remember you guys and Marshy playing Maokai every game, and you were just like, "This is amazing!" Like, we're playing against VIE on the main stage of Ice Series, and you just knew you were going to get stomped because you somehow got to the finals through like a
Did
bit
I
of a
not
fluke.
say that in
Yeah,
the interview? He
it was
called me
through
up
the
for the
seeding.
interview, I believe, and he was like, "So how do you think you're going to do here?" And I was pretty much like, "Probably not that well, but I'll give it a go."
I do remember I-46. I was there as Why Is Rum Gone, and we actually got seeded against VYE in the semi-finals. It was the most amazing thing. It was actually probably one of the more memorable moments of I-Series, where what we did was we 5-man tower dived. I think it was Plasma. He was playing Teemo bot lane, Teemo top lane. So but he went bot lane because we're 2v1ing, right? And we all thought 2v1, so he's gonna play Teemo bot lane, right? Just for a joke. So we all tower dived him, right? And we're like, "Oh, mission success! 5-man tower dive." I was playing GP for jokes, so I teleported back top lane. Little did I know that they were all waiting in the brush, ready for me to TP back up.
We had a similar situation. We had 5 of us in the bottom brush. We're like, "Just wait, they'll come." So I think a Jarvan or a Leona rocked up and just walks past this bush, and we're like, Do we go? And Will's, though, our support, just kind of wanders out and and like gives the game away. The guy flashes away. All 5 of us are just standing there like, "Well, right, that's embarrassing." on
I remember that game because you were there for so long. Like, you were sat in the top rush for at least until like the 3-minute mark, just waiting to get the first blood, and everyone else has started their laning, thinking, "Where the hell are these guys?" It was honestly one of the
Best
best.
game.
And the casters were stumped. They were like, "What are they doing?" They're just sitting in this bottom brush.
To be fair,
It
the
was- it
casters
was-
for that weren't very good either. They didn't really know what they were like. I remember like hearing about them. They were like
What
silver
the
players or
fuck's
something.
Looking back,
I'm not gonna badmouth them, but they weren't very
Right,
knowledgeable.
If you think about how big League of Legends is now compared to how big League of Legends was at I-46, it's grown 10 times
exponentially.
What was that? That
And
was
it's gone
almost a year.
It's gone through the roof. Like, the amount of talent you'll be coming out in terms of players in the UK and casters in the UK is only going to be increased with the amount of work that Nanul is doing, with how big League of Legends is getting. Like, that kind of thing is just going to go through the roof. And I-46 back then, League was big, but it wasn't the biggest game at I-46.
Oh no.
So, and now, I would say League would be the biggest game at I-46.
Yeah.
Almost certainly.
I'd
So-
say so.
But yeah. Anyway, moving on to Andy, so we look at a player's perspective. How did you get involved with Nanul? And I know Cardiff was a bit of a latecomer to our season friendlies. I think you got involved in the second one, but how did you get involved and what have your experiences been?
I saw. I was browsing Reddit as I do every day, and I randomly saw a post that we've just completed our first pre-season friendly with Manchester taking the win or something. I said, what? There's a tournament in Britain that I don't know about? No, I'm definitely getting on that hype train. So I basically said, okay, so it's only for university. So I went onto my gaming society and I said, okay, guys, look, I'm looking for any people that will play League of Legends. I don't care whether you're Bronze 5 or whether you're Challenger. I just come and play on my team. So I got my best mate, who you guys know is the top laner, and 3 random guys who all joined my team, and then we applied, and in our very first game we get put against Manchester. I remember just telling my guys, just have fun. That's all that matters. As long as you guys have fun, that's all that matters. But we actually, I think we did reasonably well that game. It was we were even for a long time, and then we kind of threw it. But we ended up coming 5th, which we were pretty chuffed with, considering that was pretty much the first time we'd properly played with each other, and yeah, we had a lot of fun. Then we practiced, came back for the 3rd preseason friendly, and we're doing a lot better. And now we're here in the Super 8.
Excuse me, sorry. My flatmate is deciding to get himself involved in this conversation.
What is this?
It's my best friend and flatmate Alex, who also plays League of Legends but is shit at it.
Yeah,
so
And we reenact that.
Who's got bigger guns? You or your flatmate?
he's way bigger than me. Anyway, getting back to the serious stuff.
Is that why you appreciate men with big balls?
I'm gonna close the door now. Yeah. So yeah. I mean, I saw Cardiff and I thought that you provided a really interesting insight and a bit of a new change up, because we had so much of our tournaments dominated by just ACOG and Manchester that you almost could have made the prediction when we came in that ACOG and Manchester were going to make it to the final. And in fact, they did, both in the second and the first pre-season friendly. I think even the third. But the fact that you guys have provided more competition than they ever faced, probably in the previous year, it just kind of spoiled that we were getting somewhere. And I think that's what everyone...
Yeah.
I think that's what everyone really enjoyed about it. Like,
well, now that
it was getting a bit more competitive, you know.
Yeah, now that we've got a solid roster, we're actually really excited to play them again, because we reckon we'll do a lot better, and we reckon a lot of other teams will do a lot better as well. Because the thing about no disrespect to Manchester and ACOG, but they're very similar in their playstyle. They're very repetitive, and once you play them enough times, you tend to realise that they pick the very common champions.
Shots fired.
Yeah, shots fired.
Yeah.
So, but you
agree.
have to that you can't doubt their skill. They're really good individuals, and I personally felt that last year ACOG were a team that could have rivaled many challenger teams just because of their synergy. They were so in sync with each other. And having a chat with their mid laner, he just told me that we've been playing for a year with each other.
Petty.
And
Yeah.
you just build that synergy up.
Anyway, speaking of ACOG, I've just invited Zenogra, who is the ACOG
Zane!
support. Yeah. So hopefully he will give you a bit of insight into what ACOG were like getting into the nil. If Sebastian has picked. Seb, you picked up?
Yeah. I hope you can hear me.
Sane!
Yeah, we can hear you. Hey. So Seb, like, getting into the nil, obviously ACOG have been there for a while. Did you enjoy the fact that people like Cardiff were coming in who were providing you with a bit more of, I don't want to be harsh to the teams that we had before, but a bit more of a challenge?
Well, to be fair to like all the teams that were in the NUO before anyway, I mean, towards the end of last year, the competition was getting a lot closer. I mean, Imperial College was starting to cause real troubles for Manchester particularly, and we faced them, I think, once, but like they kept on playing like one-way combo kind of stuff, and it was really hard to deal with because, I mean, this is why like now, I don't know if you've noticed, but pretty much every week we ban Malphite. And it's pretty much just because we're sick of playing against the one-way combos. And yeah, like, I'm saying like Imperial mainly, but it wasn't like as if it was just Imperial that was coming up. I mean, Abate came up. I remember Cardiff had some, like, we had some good games with them in scrims actually. Well, not scrims, but like in ranked games, I think we bumped into them. And I think maybe Swansea.
Man, no mention of my team. What's this all about, Zane? We used to have rival Dundee, man.
Oh, Dundee.
Do you not? Hey, whoa! Do you not remember my pentakill? against you guys on Akali? Like, come on.
Was that in the ranked games?
No, that was when we were playing in Newell. It was like a best of 3, and you just like beat us 2 games, but we got the first game on you because I went Akali.
Yeah, aren't you Dundee Abate?
Dundee.
Not Dundee Abate.
No, Dundee. Just Dundee.
Oh wait, wait,
Abate is the
Qualified?
different team. No, we were QMB kids.
Oh, that
Man,
was ages ago.
I
Holy
even played with you guys in Carnage for a while. God, I feel like I've been forgotten.
You didn't
I
play
s-
with me.
No, you know,
Space
because
Neon who?
you had
Space
you had
who?
no, I was Space Biscuit and from thingy, but no,
Oh, Space Biscuit. Do you know, I met you at I-46, Dan. I can't believe it.
I did.
Oh,
Wait, did we meet? Real?
Were you friends with Clown?
Yeah,
Were you-
dude.
Yeah.
Me and him
I
are
met
like-
you.
are
We
like
had,
lovers.
a good 10-minute conversation.
Did we?
And do you know what? I completely recognise you now. I just that's
What?
I met Clown. He's the indie pretty looking boy type person. Isn't
Yeah,
he?
he's like proper
yeah.
good looking. Why am I saying that?
You didn't realise he's going on YouTube after.
Oh,
Just a big
yeah.
call coming out, yeah.
This is a real love story. This is how true love will always find its path.
Yeah.
See what? You might find a video from iSeries where I'm kiddie backing on top of some 8-foot guy, like going through iSeries on his back. There's a video of that somewhere on YouTube. Don't find it, please. It
Anyway,
wasn't my
guys, we
moment.
should probably move the conversation on to our next topic.
Go for it.
Talking about specifically this pre-season qualification tournament, I just want to get everyone's opinions about how you thought it went. I mean, it was a big tournament for us. We had over 100 teams participating. The amount of planning that Ian and Josh did in going to the brackets was absolutely insane. I think every other day we had like posts in the Leeds Facebook group saying, well, we've come up with this new bracket idea because we've just had another 40 teams included, so our old one's out the window. What do you guys think? I personally will just give my opinion from casting it. It was probably one of the biggest audience I think I've ever cast to personally. We had 695 viewers at its peak, which was absolutely massive for our tournament. I had really good fun as well. I mean, I got really tired towards the end, but we got a good 5-6 hours of casting in that day, and we had some really close matches. And what I really liked about it is that the matches were close. Like I didn't feel like I was going into a game knowing who was going to win. I went into the game thinking any of these teams could win. Like Newcastle versus Nottingham, that was a close game. Like it was to the extent that at one point Nottingham started to snowball, and that's when I went out of control. But for the most part, like when I used to watch ACOG versus say like LMJU Jokers, no offense to those guys, but they just went up to the same skill level, and you just knew that in lanes they got dominated. And with when I was watching the games and casting the games that we cast on Sunday, nothing was like that was happening. Like there was one game I think where someone got absolutely crushed. I can't quite remember which one it was, but I think it was the third game or the second game. Basically, someone got absolutely crushed, and it was like a 20-minute game. But apart from that, the amount of competition that all of these now universities are bringing, like the amount of people who are coming in at such a higher skill level than we've ever seen before, is really entertaining and really good for our esports scene. And I think that finding this talent in Britain is what's going to make the esports scene good for us, especially with the Null. Because university sports is a big thing. Like it has been a big thing in Britain for ages. Now that we're kind of trying to develop the esports scene a bit, I think it's only going to go further if we can keep up this momentum. What do you think, else?
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
What I was just going to say about on the skill level, what's really cool as well is there's not just high skilled players coming in, but it's like highly skilled teams, like a lot of similar ranked players playing in the same team at like Platinum Diamond level, which is really quite entertaining, which is awesome.
Yeah, and to be honest, Josh, as well, the fact that you've cooked up this lower division means that bronze and silver teams are going to feel like they're in a competition as well.
I'll tell you,
You know-
that's probably my favourite bit of the whole thing. The fact that I could post, because like I know we'll go into this a bit later, so I won't go into too depth. But I've now got so many individuals from Cardiff that say, "Oh, we want to play, but we don't think we're good enough," and I can just say, "That's fine. That's absolutely fine. If you guys are all bronze 5, you're more than welcome to come and play. And I'm sure there is another university out there that has another team of bronze 5 that you guys can just, ruin. So, come along and play, because everybody is welcome, which is a really great thing,
Yeah.
I think as well as it gets bigger, you're going to find that people are actually going to watch the stream a lot more because they can get involved in terms of like if you watch the LCS, you're never going to get there. If if you watch a UK tournament and you know you could potentially be on this stream that everyone's watching and get some fame, and it's just going to grow and grow, in my opinion. And it's incredible that you managed to get 100 teams for this season. I was like gobsmacked as soon as I saw that. I thought that was incredible. So well done to everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really, really crazy. Just unbelievable amount of. We just blew up. We blew up in a matter of weeks, and I don't know what happened. Ian has been really good with his advertising on Reddit, and we've just somehow timed it right. And everyone just, I think word of mouth spread from the teams that we had involved. We slowly got more teams for pre-season friendly 2. We got a few more teams for pre-season friendly 3, and then suddenly it just went bang, 100 teams. And it just came out of nowhere. And do you know what's really helped? The UK League of Legends subreddit. Like that is actually, I think, the first time that I've seen a UK League of Legends subreddit stay and get a decent amount of viewers per day. It's really helped for advertising and getting people the information they need, because now there's this source that they have, and we've tied in quite closely to that, and I think we've taken advantage of that pretty well.
I think what's lovely as well is the fact that the majority of these teams, you know, they're not playing for a prize or a massive 10k prize like at LANs, and that it's mostly for the glory, and I think that's something that other tournaments that don't really do, just attract people for the sake of they want to be the best out of everyone else, which is totally different to how things have been running so far in the UK scene. Kind of people have been throwing money at it and not really thinking of, you know, getting popular, if you know what I'm saying.
That's because we got no money to throw at it. But,
oh yeah, but I mean, you're doing it in a much better way, in my opinion. If you've managed to get 100 teams in without having a big prize pool up, you know, that's incredible to me.
yeah, I mean, it's fantastic. 'Cause, you know, we're out here to try and get more British people involved with UK esport, or esports in general, should I say. You know, that's why we designed the format with the openness at the bottom, so anybody can come and join in. And what's fantastic for me is that, you know, probably the vast majority of these teams, like 80-90% of them, are just brand new teams that have never really competed before in a tournament. And, you know, if we can just give this, you know, small bite of the apple and just give people a little taste of, you know, what esports is about, you know, potentially it might inspire somebody to go on to do something, you know, a lot better and, you know, stick at it. And hopefully it'll inspire a lot of people just to generally get involved with, you know, the smaller esports tournaments and just playing in teams in general. And that's what we're trying to achieve.
I'll tell you something that's really cool for like on an individual, because I've been playing games since I was like 10 years old, and I've always wanted to do it professionally, and I've never really been that good. So to have something like this and to actually get my name, because I mean, like, I know now, I know Scoundrel loves to talk about me, which I much appreciate. But it's the fact that I got to play against, for a start, in my very first game, I got to play against a Diamond 1 mid laner named Tundra, who was an ex-semi-professional. And then in my second game, I got to play against the YouTube celebrity named What the Moose. So, I mean, the fact that players get the chance to play against other people who are well known is a really great opportunity, especially because you get to see how you compare against everyone else.
And do you know what? Another thing is that because a lot of the young UK League of Legends pro players, so the Dignitas jungler, everyone that's in that kind of level of competitive play, it's crazy that people who are now bronze and silver are playing with them, playing against them, just because of how the way teams match up in the null. And people would never have got that opportunity before. And you just kind of see, and it kind of like highlights the skill of some of the UK players, some of the people who probably wouldn't have even known about them beforehand. It's just crazy to think that our tournament can involve those kind of people on a casual and friendly level. It's really good.
Yeah.
And I mean, going on from that, guys, what do you think the Null's going to do in particular for British esports? Because at the moment, I would say it's one of the biggest British-only tournament-running sort of company type group there is, you know. And I think if we keep going, I think we can really put a foothold on boosting the esports scene as a really popular and less taboo subject in the UK, because at the moment computer esports in general is something that the UK just doesn't have in its culture. A lot of people are Xbox orientated, and they play a lot of Call of Duty, they play a lot of FIFA, and that's the kind of gaming that's associated with the UK. Computer esports is growing though, and League of Legends especially is getting bigger and bigger. And the fact that we have this tournament that's involving so many universities from across the country, so many players, think about it. We had 100 and something teams. Each of those teams had a minimum of 5 members. That's 500, and then there's subs and everything. That's a lot of people for just a UK tournament. And I think if we keep going, we're going to have it grow even more and more, because League is getting more popular, and I think League will become more popular in the UK, and I think with that we'll become more popular in the UK.
I'm seeing on sort of first year freshers uni pages, sort of those. You're actually seeing people posting stuff like, "Do anyone play Dota here? Add me, in-game name, etc." And people aren't like hiding the fact that they're fully blown geeks and they enjoy playing games anymore, which is pretty great. It means that I don't have to hide away so much. But like in general, like you say, just to have kind of potentially like varsity things kind of going on between universities and just actually advertise the fact that people play games and enjoy them together and not be embarrassed about it being almost going to be brought up to a parallel with potentially some sports within the university. I think that's great.
Yeah. It's just one of those things that I remember back when I was about, 11 years old, and that was me just hitting high school. And if you got, I don't know, if anybody's seen you interested in games, it was like you were some kind of, infested weirdo, because you automatically were just not normal. I was brought up with my mom, and my mom was like, "Yeah, you shouldn't play games. Games are bad for you, and they make you weird and shit, and you won't be socially, normal." And nowadays, like as you said, well, it's rivaling almost any other popular activity these days, and we're actually allowed to open up about our own genuine interests rather than hiding them away. I mean, I never told anybody in high school that I was into games. I never met my first ever proper friend who had the same interests as me until I was in first year of university. I was like 18 years old, and that's ridiculous if you think about it in that sense. Up until I was 18, I never met a single person who had the same interests as me. When it came to gaming.
I was very much the same. In high school, I was a very much your classic geek, and I just never told anyone that I played World of Warcraft, because I knew that it would alienate me, because it was considered weird. People who play games were supposed to be weird. They were these sort of reclusey hideaway guys who spent their time in the library. And it wasn't until I left for university that actually I met a load of people that do play this kind of thing. And then it became more and more popular. And I started finding out that people who I never thought would have played games actually played them, but were in the same boat as me. They just didn't want to tell anyone because they thought it would be weird. I had people in high school that were considered the jocks saying, "Oh, Kieran, I heard you used to play World of Warcraft. Do you still play? Because I'm playing on such and such server." And I was like, "Well, no, I don't, but really weird, because if you played it during high school, so did I." And you just find that this kind of thing is just growing, and computer esports is becoming less of a taboo subject in social culture. Before now, I would never have told my girlfriend that I was into League, but my girlfriend, who has no interest in esports or in computers whatsoever, she knows that I cast this, and knows that I play League of Legends. It's quite a big part of my life, and she's okay with it. I would never have said that before about a year ago, and I think the growth of Riot and League of Legends in general is just something that's aided that, because it's something that people do now, and it's not considered weird.
Definitely. It's that kind of thing. Riot and more of the community has actually become more mature. Ha 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 ha. You look at Twitch chat. No. I think the entire world has become more accepting of people enjoying things that's their own. Even if we even branch down like homosexuality. Think of homosexuality 20 years ago. Like, no one really came out. Nowadays, like, multicolored people, there's people walking down the streets, guys holding hands, girls kissing in the street together. These things happen, and now nerds are able to talk about their favorite sport in a bar. Like,
we are the modern day homosexuals. Yeah. I like the parallel.
No, you think about it this way, like, I run an esports society for the for Dundee. Like, not even just one university, it's for the entire city. It doesn't matter if you're a student, it doesn't matter if you're unemployed, or if you're, you work 50 hours a week in some crazy ass office. If you enjoy games, you can come have a drink with us. We can go out clubbing, or even just sit at home and playing games. We can do anything and go for meals and shit, and everyone just enjoys it. You couldn't be able to do that so long ago because nobody kind of came out about this stuff. But nowadays, we can all do it.
So
We need to coin a phrase for coming out of the closet for gamers. There needs to be a phrase. Josh can work on this. We can brainstorm it this week and get back to you.
So Josh will bring up a 30-minute section on meeting just to figure out a phrase for this. We'll need a planning, and then moving into executing, and then writing a blog about it. And we need to put it through the little Excel spreadsheet just so we get it all right.
And then
You guys could call it You guys could call it meeting on the motherboard.
Oh, wow.
Lovely.
Okay, what's next, Scoundrel?
Well, specifically, I want to talk about the Super 8 and what we think from the top 8 seeds in the team, because there's 6 of the 8 that I think are really, really decent, and I think they will have tough competition.
Six? Hang on a minute.
fired.
Yeah. He's saying, ooh.
It's alright, let's say it's Cardiff and ACOG are two of my 6. But I think there's going to be some really tough competition in that Super 8, and I think that Manchester and ACOG are going to have a tougher time than they have done in the past. In fact, I don't even think, no offence to ACOG or Manchester, I just don't think they are the strongest team there now anymore.
No.
And I think
Cardiff hype train, cough.
Cardiff hype train all the way. You're not playing your Zach Jungles, so I'm not as interested. But I think it's going to be really tough competition there this year, and I think even throughout the year, I think we'll see some changes in that Super 8 because of the way we're structuring the tournament and because of the way the Open Division works. I think you guys are going to have to fight to stay up there, and it's going to be very LCS-like. Each match is going to count, and I think you guys are going to put serious thoughts into your tactics, into the way you approach the games, and just generally the practice schedules that you have for them. Obviously, it's not taking it super serial, but I think it's going to be tough, and I think you're not going to have a cakewalk. ACOG and Manchester are not going to have a cakewalk this year.
I think as well is there's a lot that we can't base off last weekend, because I think a lot of the teams that were participating were really surprised at how good some of the teams were. There were people, stacked with Diamond 1 players, and I think they were kind of expecting to come in and roll it, and they just didn't. And so I think they're all going to step up their games, and it's going to be really interesting, which will be great.
To say that when Cardiff played against What the Moose's team, we genuinely thought we were going to lose. We thought we're going to lose it during the laning phase, because that's where we feel our weakest point is, just being outplayed on an individual level. And then Ocherm came in with the carry, and we basically all game just said Ocherm is a god. But it was honestly that was possibly one of the best moments I say of our lives, but of our League of Legends career, because to be able to know that on an individual level, in terms of solo queue, they had a lot stronger team, but it felt like our synergy was what sort of helped us win overall. That was a really good feeling.
Tell me how much of an adrenaline rush that is, because I know how big an adrenaline rush you get.
It was
honestly,
when I got first blood onto What the Moose, right? They told me to mute my mic because I wouldn't stop screaming. It was awful.
I was going to expand on that game actually, and I said to Kieran, we're on to the stream actually to everybody, and I I'm going to call right now, Oatgerm, right? I played against him last season, and he was a dick. You want to know why? Because he camps the shit out of mid lane. So see What the Moose, see picking that Victor pick. He's I'm not going to say he's an idiot, because he isn't an idiot, right? Everyone knows that What the Moose is a good player, right? I don't think he's as strong as what people can make him out to be, but he is still, a good player.
I was impressed.
Victor. Now, when you have someone like Jarvan and someone who likes to camp mid lane as Oatgerm does, and he told me about that a lot, and he showed me a lot of this, because I felt the pain a long time ago. I was like, First Blood's gonna go straight on to Cardiff. Bet you any money. Kieran's like, alright, okay, I can see this. Over and over again. Victor, no escape, boom, dead. Gank, dead. First Blood. And I was like, okay. So how's this game gonna go from there? And just Victor. Like, if Victor doesn't get ahead, it kind of feels a bit shaky.
Yeah, you're definitely right. I don't know if we want to talk about. I don't know. What would you like to talk about, Scoundrel?
What's this?
Do you want us to keep talking about? Do you want us to keep talking about the game, or is there a specific topic you'd like us to talk about?
No, honestly, guys, this is just a place for you to express your thoughts about how you think you're going to do in the coming season, specifically in the Super 8. Like, what do you think the matchups are going to be like between you in Manchester,
Right.
you in ACOG, you in the Imperial side, the Swag Vicious, and all that kind of? Because all of them looked really strong.
All right. Well, from like Cardiff's perspective, we think that the games are going to be a lot. We're really looking forward because we play better against teams that we know. Just because we like to think that we're good at coming up with strategies and a lot of cheese. Like I've already talked to you about some of my picks that I plan on bringing out. We like to come up with strategies, but when you play someone for the first time, it's really uncomfortable and I think, as you said, it threw a lot of teams off because I think that the team. Going back to this game against What the Moose, they didn't ban Zed, and they probably didn't expect someone like me to be able to play Zed at a decent level, and I think that caught them by surprise somewhat, and the Vladimir pick probably caught them by surprise as well, and that probably happened in so many games. Like, I was amazed that Imperial got knocked out by their B team. I have no idea how that happened, but what...
Well,
they were scarred for life.
Yeah. The
Swag
thing about the two Imperial teams is that the first Imperial team was seeded like you were based on the previous tournaments.
Yeah.
Second Imperial team was seeded based on their solo queue elos.
Yeah.
So actually, even though they were the 16th seed in our upper bracket, it ended up that they were actually on a slightly higher skill level than the Imperial team beforehand because the Imperial team were good, but their B team were better. And their B team did really well all the way through the tournament, and that's why they're now qualified for the Super 8 because they were just that good. And I think that the A team was there because they were the first Imperial team, not necessarily because they were the best Imperial team.
I see. Yeah. Oh, okay. That's really interesting. But we're on in terms of the Super 8, we reckon it'll be good. Like we're really excited about being able to play someone who's at a similar skill level or even better skill level than we are on a weekly basis and coming up with strats to cream those noobs.
I wanna call this out, right? Against ACOG, I have a feeling that you'll do well mid lane. Okay, I think mid lane and jungler combo. I think Cardiff has the advantage, like more so than ACOG. I don't know if Zani would agree on that. He's obviously biased towards us, but ACOG's bot lane is probably the strongest bot lane. Right now.
Yeah.
I
Defunct
would say
is a beast. Defunct is a beast.
I would say Rods and Zani are the best bot lane that you'll have possibly right now because
Rods is one of the most impressive AD carries in the tournament. I used to think that Hobbit on Manchester was probably one of the better ones, but obviously he's stopped playing to an extent now. But Rods I've seen his Vayne play, I've seen his Caitlyn play. They're really top level, and that guy is very good. And Zani, when he plays as Zyra, is just out of this world. So that was a very strong bot lane in the last 3 tournaments.
Yeah, playing with Rods, Zani, and playing against them, I can tell you that their bot lane's always been the problem. Their mid lane has always been weaker comparatively than other mids. Not to say that he's weaker now, because he has stepped up his game hugely. I know Ped wasn't as good before, but he is now good now. I don't know what the situation is with top lane, because I still don't know who your top lane is currently.
Well, actually, ACOG are having problems right now because one of their players left, and
he didn't leave per se. It's
is this the one I think you're talking about? Yeah, it probably is.
This is
Yeah.
This is anyway. They needed to get a new top laner in, so they had a new top laner for the Manchester and ACOG best of 3 on Sunday.
Okay.
And unfortunately, he didn't quite live up to the expectations, or so I heard. So I think Ped's actually now moving to the top lane, and they're looking for a new mid laner.
This is like.
Oh, sorry. On you.
Well, just like I want to pull back a bit to defend Pete a little. Pete isn't really a mid laner. I mean, like he always says that he wants to go back to top lane because that's his primary role. That's what he plays in solo queue all the time. He's got a really strong top champion pool. and it's not as if his mid pool is bad, but his top pool I think is probably better. And in terms of how he plays top lane as well, I think he's more reliable. He's not the person that will, like, if you see him in how we play across all of the NRL tournaments, Pete doesn't tend to lose lane, and if he does, it's not horrifically. There's very few instances, I think. Like, I think there was maybe one game or two where Manchester's Mr. TDs, like, got a kill or two on Fizz, and then it's hard to stop him from, getting more kills in mid. But, like, on his own, he tends to always hold up, and he tends to always be very solid in terms of his actual result. So, like, I think if we could just find probably, I'd say an aggressive mid laner, someone that could be a bit more edgy, and then have a safe top, so we know that top's never going to get... Because, I mean, I wasn't playing this Sunday, so I actually don't really know the full extent of what happened. I was just told that top got pushed in, and then we basically just lost top tower, and from top being lost, we lost everything else. So I'm not really sure of the strength of our new top laner. We haven't really practiced it with him either. I mean, I haven't been able to get on for the last 2 weeks either, so we definitely need to practice. That is our main weakness at the minute, I think, is practice. But I mean, as well, in terms of what you're saying about this year being probably a lot harder, and like I was saying, it's not as if last year it wasn't getting difficult, and we kind of expected that it was going to be a level above this year, because, I mean, if you're saying that Imperial's second team are better than their first team, it was their first team I was talking about originally, so if their first team can almost beat what was the previous top 2 seeds, and their new team's better, I'm just looking forward to that. I want some challenges. Like, I don't want to have easy runs through the brackets. It's always fun to, like, have 1 week where you just crush through, but then the next week you get knocked out in the first round, you just go, what happened?
Yeah, and I think that's the kind of thing that I'm really looking forward to, because I think all of the Super 8 are going to take it to a serious extent. I think they're going to really bring out as many new tactics as they can. I'm really looking forward to seeing how British esports, especially our university teams, think up new ways to play, because it's all very well and good copying the pro scene meta, because that's a good way of going about getting wins, but it would be really interesting to see anything innovative comes up, because even though I think I cast a game where ACOG played a Cassiopeia Teemo bot lane, and even though that was a little bit troll, it was troll to the extent that it was actually really bloody good.
The thing is, it wasn't trolling. Like people criticized us for that game for trolling. Yeah, okay, we didn't pick the strongest picks in the entire game, but Teemo Cassio is a very viable lane combo. It works theoretically, and you can do it. Like, we weren't going to do it as Twitch Cassio, but Twitch is a really strong AD carry, and it still works that way. By the way, like, you can have Cassio as support instead, and she works pretty well as a support, like, relatively in terms of the semi-non-viable supports go. She works relatively okay, but like, yeah, like Teemo Cass works pretty fine. I mean, you've got decent amount of control. You've got the blind to stop people. Like, I think, who were we against? Were we against an Ashe?
I thought you were against I thought you were against a Caitlyn, actually.
Yeah, I think it's
okay.
a Caitlyn.
Either way, someone who's predominantly auto-attack based. It's not like an Ezreal, right? Who's gonna, like, have other abilities to do damage. So yeah, like, it's not as if, like, we were horrendously trolling with that. It's a pretty legit lane, and it's quite powerful, especially if you get an early game advantage. I mean, you got
an early game advantage. It is a bit of a cheese lane. It's like sticking Taric and Leona in the bottom lane. If you can get the early kills, you'll snowball that lane out of control. But that's the kind of thing that I like to see. I mean, even though it was a bit out of the box and people thought it was a bit trolly, it was actually quite interesting to cast, because it's something you don't see every day, and that's what I really enjoyed about it. I like seeing something that you don't see every day.
The second game, you can criticize for trolling.
Yeah, I mean, that was a bit crazy.
It was a ball ache to cast. We were trying to get excited, and we were like, yeah, this is fantastic. I feel sorry, they've just been caught with their pants down, and that's just about all we could say.
It's just like, I don't know if, like, you figured it out, but we have not practiced double jungle Taric, and I don't know what else we've played before.
You wouldn't have known for a second, to
Taric
be honest.
Silent or something like that.
I just want to throw out there, right, that a while back, Cardiff actually tried a double jungle strat that worked really, 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 really well, but it requires so many factors to fall into place that it's just like, you basically have to have the perfect game for it to work.
And also you need the perfect champions. Like, if you have counter jungle-esque champions, like, if you play, like, say, Shyvana Nunu, it can work.
Yeah.
But not the way we played it, because Taric can't counter jungle, and so can't counter jungle.
This is what I'm laying down to anyone. If anyone manages to win, like, a season split after 3 weeks, your promotion series, using just the Blitzstar jungle, I will buy the people that play it Alistair skin and the Blitzcrank skin, okay? So,
Challenge. No.
That's how it's gonna work.
Well, I
If you
just
can
have to
win
say
it
that I have.
in the Super 8.
So I'll throw down this, right. If anyone legitimately picks Teemo and wins a game, like that Teemo bounty which got taken down, in the null, I'll buy them whatever skin they want in the game.
Challenge accepted.
Really?
Challenge accepted.
Even if it's a
My-
legendary.
my team has just-
Not the ultimate Ezreal one though, it's too much, but a legendary skin is as far as I'll go.
My team have just sent me about 10 pings going, no, 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 and no. I'm like, guys, Teemo's viable. It is. I can make it work, I'm sure.
Well, if we move
And
on with
if,
the meta,
and if you win a Teemo jungle game, I'll buy you 2 skins.
What about support Teemo?
No, support Teemo is too semi-viable, not having that.
Wow.
I actually lost a platinum game in rank today with someone who played Teemo support. It was grim.
Was he on the
Moving
winning
on
team
with
or
the
the
meta.
losing team?
Yeah. But yeah, I just want to get some final words from Josh about how he thinks the null's going to go from here, and how just genuinely how he feels about how it's all exploded.
First off, a shout out to Manchester Penguins who I've seen posting Facebook wanting a shout out. This is a really strong showing from Manchester in the Super 8 this season, so that's going to be really interesting. Both from University of and Met, so hopefully a bit of rivalry going off there. That'd be cool. But yeah, I mean, it's the sort of like response we've had so far has been absolutely out of this world. I mean, I haven't slept properly since Thursday because we've just been processing that many teams and sorting out that many problems that it's just going ballistic. And this is fantastic. This is what we want. I would like some sleep at some point, but it's really good. So we just want to get more teams involved. Like I said, we've specifically designed the system so more teams can get involved at any point, and hopefully we'll see some more challenges. Like I showed Daniel vouch that we saw strong showings from Dundee teams halfway through last season and went on to do great things. So we want more things like that. Hopefully, we want more people tuning in and just sort of backing the UK esports scene. Hopefully, and fingers crossed that we can pull something quite, I don't know, impressive or something to look forward to for the end of the season. But it's early days yet, so can't give too much away. But yeah, hopefully we get something, some sort of sending off should like that people will enjoy and want to get involved with.
Right, well, we've covered everything about the null that I wanted to talk about, so just moving on to League of Legends in general, because this is going to be the good stuff. We'll start talking about League. I wanted to touch on the mid lane right now, because recently Riot have expressed that they don't like the way that the assassin meta is going right now, and I'm talking about the fact that there are basically 4 to 5 mid picks that are either banned or picked every game, and I know some unconventional things do come out, but I'm talking about Kassadin, Fizz, Zed, someone else help me out here, LeBlanc Canary, and to an
LeBlanc's
extent
not a
Orianna.
problem. LeBlanc's not a problem. Okay,
But-
touch her and I die.
I'm just saying, Riot have expressed that there's going to be changes to Ari coming, and there's going to be changes to Kassadin coming, and they're not liking the way that this almost no risk assassin meta is coming out, because if you play Zed, if you play Kassadin, there's easy ways to completely burst down a champion with almost no risk involved for you. I mean, obviously you do commit to an extent when you go in with Kassadin and Zed, but you have escape mechanisms which makes it very easy when you get ahead to get in, do the damage and get out with almost nothing to persuade you not to do that. I mean, if you have a Kassadin who's fed, he can jump over a wall, one shot your AD carry, sit around and take a bit of damage, and then rift walk away. What do you guys think about this assassin meta, and do you enjoy it? Because is it the right way for the mid lane to go at the moment? Because it's moved away from very much a utility mid lane to an assassin mid lane.
So is
I
it
don't
okay
mind
if I jump in here? Is that okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in terms of like the thing about those specific picks is that they kind of, as you rightly said, they get free escapes for very little risk. So if you think of someone like Katarina or Akali or Diana,
they rely on quite specific things. So Katarina, if she jumps in, she needs the resets to then get back out again. So there's your risk. Akali, if she gets the kill, that gives her a reset, and she's got a stealth, which is timed, so she's got that risk. Whereas somebody like Fizz gets a pretty much free escape. Same with Ari. She gets 3 effectively flashes. Same with Kassadin, and that's why they're considered quite strong at the moment, just because, as you've rightly said, they can go in, kill your target, and then get out risk-free. So that's why they're really highly contested. So I'd say that that's the biggest problem with them at the moment. So if I'd either say to fix the problem would be to either increase the risk. So, for example, Kassadin works in a very similar reset manner. So for him to be able to rift walk out, he needs to get a kill or something. And a very similar to Ari. I don't know if it's worth nerfing the damage or whether it's worth reducing the mobility that you should target, but it's the fact that they get as you rightly said, it's this idea of no risk. They can go in, get the kill, get out, and they don't need anything like Akali or Katarina or Diana would.
Yeah, well, what's been said about Ari is that maybe her damage will be reduced, but if you charm the target, damage against the charmed target will be increased, and that's the risk there. You've got to hit the skill shot to get the damage. That's only very tentative red posts at the moment, so there's no complete confirmation about that kind of thing. But but that's what's been said. But with Kassadin, that's almost a complete kit change if you wanted to implement something like that. And I don't see Kassadin getting a rework. The only thing I can see for Kassadin is making him less snowbally. But the way that works, I just don't know.
If I were to
suggest
jump in...
for Kassadin, to reduce the range on the ultimate rather than reduce the cooldowns and that, reduce that range and make it so he can't get on top of the AD carry as well with that ultimate, because that's the problem at the minute. He can jump right on top where his burst comes from. If you were forced to really kind of flash ultimate in order to get the assassination, then there's that risk element again, because at the minute his jump's very, very large. It's huge.
Yeah, it's a longer range than Flash at the moment, and he gets it every 7 to 8 seconds. It's something that it makes him a very strong mid lane. Obviously, he's got the weak early phase, but the problem is that you're completely reliant on your jungler prioritizing that lane to shut him down, and in which case, the problem for the junglers at the moment is that's not the only lane you can camp anymore. I know Oatgen would disagree, but it's mid lane. Sometimes by camping it, you detriment your game because you leave top lane exposed, you leave bot lane exposed, and obviously as a jungler, everyone who knows who plays jungle that you can't camp one lane. And most people say, in solo queue, people will say, right, why is the jungler not ganking me? Well, I have to gank everywhere else. I have to be across. I am there to aid my entire team. I can't babysit someone, and just because there is the potential to snowball there, and that's the thing that Riot, I think, has a problem with, the fact that you have to sit a Kassadin pre-6 in order to get give him any sort of disadvantage. Same with the Zed, because once Zed gets 6, he's devastating, and if Zed goes even in a lane with someone, it's almost certain, especially if they're a squishy target, that if he plays right, which most good Zed players will, they will get the kill, and it's just difficult in this current state for a jungler to sit on a mid lane.
Another way to look at it would be to nerf his base stats, nerf his health, his mana regen, and actually make it viable that a mid laner can put some real aggression onto him early and force him out of lane properly, rather than kind of him miss. You usually probably get a 10-20 CS lead on Kassadin, but that really doesn't matter. As you say, it doesn't rely that heavily on getting early farm. He can, as soon as he gets that 6, he can just start farming up on his own accord, sort of thing.
Well, what you'll see XPeke do on Kassadin is he will literally just use his W, which is obviously his magic damage increase on a melee attack, to farm under turret, which is actually quite a potent way of farming on Kassadin. Because obviously if you leave a melee minion to take 2 tower hits, you can just hit it once with your W and get the minion kill. And he's always said, if I go behind on farm pre-6 on Kassadin, it doesn't matter to me, because I know that post-6 I have much more utility than most other mid laners. The main thing for me is just not dying pre-6 and not giving away kills. And that's something that makes Kassadin almost an instant ban these days.
If
Thing
I-
about carry on, Space. You haven't said a
Sorry.
word.
Yeah, sorry. I want to bring it back to as Kassadin is part of this, but if we go back to the old assassin meta, we're talking like start of season 2 when Talon was viable. Right, you remember when Talon came out and his regen was insane and shit, and his damage was through the roof. But the thing with Talon and Akali was that they had the biggest amount of counterplay, and the thing that counterplayed them was an item that cost 125 gold. You could literally pop that down, and that's it. No escapes. There's nothing you can do. Like, that's you. You're screwed. Akali is based completely on her shroud. If Akali is revealed within her shroud, she can be shut down. She can't jump away unless it's to another person or a minion. Kassadin has, obviously, as you were saying, free roam. He can jump anywhere he wants, go over walls. He can jump anywhere he feels like it. Diana, however, obviously is the same like Akali, and that's how Diana is now a balanced champion, because she has to sacrifice her gap closer to get kills, and she gets punished. If she doesn't kill someone, or she double gap closes for more damage, she's instantly punished for that if she doesn't kill the target. Same way Akali. Talon doesn't even have the damage half the time to kill someone unless he's helped beforehand, or unless the person's dumb. As you'll see in when I used to play Talon in NGL, it would actually take a lot to just kill someone mid lane. And Talon's seen as a counter to Kassadin, but Kassadin's beat Talon nowadays. But why would that be? You need to look at it from mechanic points of view. Talon has a silence. He has a slow, which has rake damage, which are all physical, by the way. He has a bleed. It's an amplified auto attack. That's physical damage as well. And he has his ult, which is physical damage. Still doesn't do damage against Kassadin, because Kassadin can start Doran's shield, and he doesn't need to go into melee or creeps because his null sphere is on a tiny cooldown and he can farm with it. Before the current assassin meta, and we're talking end of season 2, when Karthus, I don't know if you remember from season 2 World Finals, Kassadin was picture banned almost every game.
Yeah.
And the games he was picked up, he has like an 80% win rate in. In the finals, TPA versus, help me out here,
Azubu.
Frost.
Azubu Frost. Kassadin was picked twice, okay? And he was picked by either side, and they won both games purely because of Karthus. But he had counterplay to him even then, and he's never been touched since then. But coming in this current meta, it's unfair in how Morello, I won't quote it directly, but he says there is absolutely no counterplay to a person who can jump over a wall, instant kill someone with a DFG, and then jump back over. It's not fair on a champion.
You're right. This just comes back to the whole thing that me and Excounder were saying about the no risk thing. You know, there's the best point you made was with Akali and the pink ward. You know, I mean, like that's just instant counterplay right there. And how do you counterplay Kassadin? I mean, the best thing I can think of, and what I think a lot of pros have thought of, is you send your 2v1 mid lane to try and snowball the early game as fast as humanly possible, because you take that mid tower and then you just pressure, so you never let Kassadin get to the point that he's terrifying.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much the only way to counterplay Kassadin. But if he somehow survives the laning phase, then it was pointless anyway, and you're going to lose the late game just because of how well he scales.
Well, one of the questions we had were, at what patch was it that this all changed? That I mean, there was no noticeable buffs to these champions as such, and at what point did the meta change for them to take such, dominance? Was it a nerf on some other players' parts? Was it a nerf on the jungle? Was it the jungle change? What do you guys think?
I personally, I'm going to throw out here, I think this kind of thing started evolving from when Seeker's Arm Guard came in, and then when early Magic Resist and Chalice became a more useful item. Yeah. And I think it's so easy for mid-champions now to get defensive items that actually give them quite a boost defensively as well. because obviously picking up Chalice of Harmony gives you that magic resist, but also gives you the 1% mana regeneration per 1% missing. And then you also have Seeker's Vanguard, which gives you 30 AP and a crap ton of armor. So people can pick that kind of thing up and feel fairly safe in that mid lane. Especially, I think it's why Talon's died out in mid lane a hell of a lot, because you can now start Cloth 5 Pot in the mid lane and it build it into something that actually becomes one of your core items anyway. So I mean, it's something like right now there is so many defensive options for mid laners to take early on, which actually benefit them incredibly going into their mid and late game builds, and that's why things people like Castin can go in and actually feel fairly safe. I mean, especially with the introduction of the Flask. The Flask is one of the biggest items that a lot of mid laners will pick up if they think they're going to take a lot of poke, because obviously you can't build early magic resist in a mid lane because you waste too much of your gold. But the Flask is something that you can pick up and just sustain through a fairly decent amount of poke, and I think it's why it's made these early game champions like Castin, who had this particularly weak early game, a lot safer to pick now, because there's just so many barriers to survive this early harass.
I agree to an extent. I think it all started personally when the AD mid sort of meta. Do you remember the good old days of Black Cleaver Warmogs? Those days when those sort of died out, because everyone was like, well, what do we play mid now? And then people started going back to things like Ahri, and they were like, oh, this is kind of fun. And because Ahri suddenly became popular, a common counterpick to Ahri was something like Kassadin. And everyone was like, oh, okay, Kassadin's quite a good pick into Ahri, let's take Kassadin. And so people sort of developed this thing. But I think it really changed when Fizz got his E-bug fixed.
Oh.
Yeah, they fixed, I think it was 3.8 or something. I don't know which patch it was, but I remember Lemon Dogs played it. They were the changes, right? And basically it got changed, and someone from Lemon Dogs, the mid laner Nuke Duck, he said, if they ever fix Fizz's E, I'll play him competitively. And the first patch he gets fixed, they played him competitively. And the moment Fizz came out, right, like this whole idea of like the assassin meta just sort of exploded. So personally, I would say it was all thanks to Fizz. You can blame Fizz.
Yeah.
Well, I want to use this to lead into our next point, because I think that these high mobility mid laners have come about because the way that mobility is important in the terms of global objectives now. And I think the fact that rotations now are so important, having a high mobility mid laner makes it a lot easier to make rotations and a lot easier to push objectives as a grouped team members. So having high mobility mid laners means you can go bot, get a double kill, push the tower. And that's a global objective and a kill for your team because you have the mobility to do that. And I think that that's something that's evolved into the current meta, and that's why the Koreans do so well, is because they do that. They're highly mobile as a team, and they push towers, they take global objectives, and they snowball off the global goal that you get. And that's going to bring me into my next point. This current meta, and the way that most people are winning games right now in the pro scene, is by snowballing global objectives. You can't deny that. That is exactly how SKT1 won most of their games at Worlds. They just snowballed all of the global objectives that they could, and they made brilliant rotations.
And OMG are a prime example of that as well.
Yeah, and so do you think that this is a good meta for League of Legends to be in at the moment? Because
I don't enjoy it, personally.
Because right now,
I agree.
Bring back Fortify. Bring back Fortify.
because right now, taking towers is one of the biggest ways to win a game. And this global objective snowball that you have, once you're moderately far in the lead because of it, there's almost no way a team can come back. And you'll often find that if you know the statistics that Spellsy posted on Leaguepedia, that 70% of the teams who took first blood at League of Legends in the team won. 85% of the people who took the first tower won the game. 100% of the people who took the first inhibitor won the game. Does this make you think that maybe League of Legends needs to be sort of changed to an extent that losing these objectives will give you an advantage, but not an advantage that will win you games? Do we need to go more Dota 2 style? I know a lot of people will hiss and boo at this, but do we need to go more Dota 2 style, where actually teamfight mechanics can come back into it, and a really great teamfight can turn it around enough to the point that actually you can get back in the game? Because the difference between Dota 2 and League is you lose gold when you die on Dota 2. That's why a great teamfight can win your team back a lot of objectives, and the death timers are a lot longer, and if you want to get back in, you have to buy your way back in. In League, there's no penalty for dying, and global objectives just allow your team to completely snowball. And almost certainly, if you're 5k goal behind at 20 minutes because of the global objectives taken, there's almost no way you can get back into the game unless you're playing for the late game.
I think it's one of those questions where the answer is it depends on what your goals are. I mean, if League as a scene is going well, if Riot particularly are wanting to move the game towards being more fun for the players, then obviously you want to be able to bring in that factor of being able to make a really easy comeback by winning. Well, not an easy comeback, but starting up a comeback by winning a team fight where you weren't so badly behind. But from a viewing aspect, which is really what Riot are going for, having this meta where if you get behind, you're behind, and you stay behind, it's a lot more. I think it's much better from a viewing perspective because it means matches are a lot quicker. It means that if the team's ahead and they're obviously stomping, the game's just going to end flat out in 25 minutes probably, or 30 minutes. And we saw that a lot at LCS particularly. But it also means that if there is a comeback, from a viewing perspective, that is massive. I mean, if you remember back when, who was it?
CLGEU.
CLGEU, yeah, CLGEU.
Everyone knows
Comeback ever.
you
Yeah.
say comeback and it's CLGEU.
But this is what I mean. I just say comeback, and you know the exact game I mean, because that's how memorable it was. So from a viewing aspect, that's incredible. Like, all I need to say is one word, and you still remember that game. It's still fresh in your mind. But I mean, I guess from a playing perspective, it's obviously very frustrating because, I mean, first blood can happen for a number of reasons. Maybe there was just a slight hiccup in play. Maybe you stepped forward just a little bit too much, and that meant that you died to a jungle gang. And to be that punished from a playing perspective is quite aggravating sometimes. It's never. I mean, obviously, like first blood isn't like 100% of losses. Like you said, it's about 70. I think it's like 74% or 72%. Something around that. They said it was. But towers, I think maybe at the minute they probably give too much gold and are probably too weak slightly still.
Same with Dragon as well. Dragon gives too much gold.
Yeah.
I think coupled with that is, the minions took a buff to the point where they can bring down towers on their own really easily. A wave of 12 minions, etc. is going to do significant damage. And when that came about, it rather than this idea of the champions getting ahead, it's more a case of you having to actually split your attention between. They could possibly do Baron, but there's 10 minions bottom, so we should really panic. And I think that's the problem, is that if they get ahead, minions give too much of an advantage. The fact that to keep inhibs up, it's a real juggling act, and it's much less focused around team fight control and positioning of your team than kind of splitting your attention between the team fight and the minions. And I think they need to revert that, and like you said, make the towers easier to turtle underneath. I joked about Fortify, but I think that could actually bring back quite the chance to actually get some farm back yourself, stop the turret dives, and just stop the fast push that you see in the early games.
And I was wanting to pick up on a point that you said there, Theory, and I think it's a very good point. I think minions have too much of an effect. I think the ability to stack waves and push a tower with just 2 minion waves at sort of 4 to 6 minutes is ludicrous. Like, minions do too much damage to turrets right now, and I think that's a problem that everyone is facing. That if you have a large minion wave bottom, just because that large minion wave is there means you can't get and protect a global objective that's going to give their team 500 gold apiece, like Baron, or 300 gold apiece, or whatever. It's a large chunk of global gold that they're going to get in favor of them. And you just couldn't do it because you're going to lose your inhibitor tower because there's so many minions stacked at that turret. And that's the problem with the fast push, because once you lose a tower, it's so easy for the other team to stack minions down that wave because there's nothing stopping them once they get to that point in the lane. And this is what everyone's struggling with, and this is what the Koreans do so well, is that they push these outer towers, all of them, and then they push the waves up, so if you go to deal with one lane, they'll group and take the bottom lane that's furthest away, so you can't get there. And then that'll be another chunk of global gold in their favour, and all you've got out of it is 20 CS for one of the people that's gone to deal with it.
I heard someone's hypothetical argument that, in a similar way of a clairvoyance reveals the area, that if a support could take Summoner Spell, which cleared the area of minions, you wouldn't gain the gold from it, how much that would change the game, because it would mean that the top lane's safe on a global scale from that early game, and you're sacrificing something, but it could be a 60-second, it could be a 1 minute 20 kind of summoner spell that actually it impairs the fact that you don't get the gold from it, but it could really make things interesting. And I think they're going to have to bring something like that in to change it, because otherwise you're going to slip back to this hour-long game kind of thing, where it's actually really hard to close out the game. There's got to be such a balance put in place, and it's going to be very hard to do.
The problem with that idea is that you effectively deny out a strategy, and the strategy I'm thinking of is split pushing, because I mean Riot made this really clear because they did it with when they buffed the early towers. So as you all know, that for the first 10 minutes the towers get more armor, so they can't be pushed as quickly. And the reason for that is Riot was like, well, it's a legitimate strategy that we don't want to destroy, we don't want to remove it from the game, but it's a bit too strong of a strategy, so we want to nerf it a bit. And things like the split push strategy is a really effective, strong strategy that, I mean, Fnatic are well renowned for. But you can't just, if you had that tactic, you could effectively deny the split push strategy, which is difficult for Riot to deal with.
Yeah, I mean, and similarly, the thing is, you'd have to put it in a way that it would be detrimental to your team fight and laning phase.
Exactly.
But give you some safety in terms of we can actually counter this strategy by choosing summoner spells. Because the problem is, at the minute, you could go through the picking phase, and I know the picking phase should be important, but you can go through and actually come out with a really weak team, and you can't even do anything about it with the spread of summoner spells you've kind of got now. Lots of summoner spells have been left redundant. Again, I haven't seen Clairvoyant picked up in a long time.
Don't say that to Civ HD. Don't ever say that to Civ HD.
And, but in terms of like the summoner spells that are there as a safety net or as a way of making plays yourself, they're there to say, right, we've got this comp, but we want to change it up in this way. And Fnatic do that by taking the double teleport and stuff like that. And if the summoner spells become stale, I think that's where things start to kind of go wrong in terms of the game. Becomes very stale.
The thing is, I feel that the idea of that summoner spell you're talking about, where you clear a patch of minions, whatever, with no gold reward, I see massive issues with that in terms of trolling. That would be a troll haven. But I mean, if you're gonna bring back a summoner spell though, just to like deal with this issue of split pushing, if you just bring back Fortify as a targeted tower, like enhancement, or targeted a tower invulnerability for like, say 10-15 seconds, however long you want to say, or if you brought back that spell which you were saying, but instead of doing it as a damage, do it as an area heal for your own minions to push back. That could be something, but then of course that also means that wave that's pushing could then be healed, and then
I
think Fortify got this ridiculous split push.
Fortify works best.
Think of it this way: Ownwrecker, right?
Yeah.
Ownwrecker having an active on your own towers to fortify the tower, but it's global.
Man,
it has a massive cooldown, right? Talking like
Riot,
I don't know, like 3 minute cooldown maybe. But think of the idea that a support buys an Ownwrecker and is able to stop a split push.
Guys, I just want to say
potentially a few seconds.
There is an item that turns one of your minions into effectively a super minion.
Yeah, Banner of Command.
Banner of Command, right? Now, this is a legitimate strategy that has been used, right?
Oh God,
and basically all you
go.
do, you take AP Janet. Now, these, who am I thinking of? Manchester Penguins did this. They didn't do this legitimate strategy, but they took AP Janet top, right? And all you do is you split push all the time. You run flash TP, split push, and you buy Banner of Command, right? And you split push with the Janna, and you constantly use that on your minions, and it's unstoppable. It's literally unstoppable because the minions are too strong, and because of Janna's CC, it's impossible to kill her as well. So that sort of split push is sort of just throwing out there that sort of split push is, how would you deal with that? I mean, like, things like Banner of Command are an item that nobody's really thought of that might actually be really effective at things like countering the split push, because all you need to do is, when the minions spawn, you make one of yours that just come out of the neckness nice and strong, and that'll push back the wave quite significantly.
And the problem is the fact that you're in this situation again where you're still having to go elsewhere to deal with the split push. You still have to take a back to the base in order to get there for
Right,
when
I see
your
what you mean, yeah.
minions coming off, and at that point you're sacrificing any chance of a team fight. You see these ridiculously length back and forths around a Baron pit, and nothing actually happens, and it's so frustrating to watch. And it's even more frustrating to play because you're like, we just want something to happen, but there's too much risk.
The problem is with that is if you show, and it's someone who can't get to the team fight instantly, there's too many hard engages from too many champions that are usually picked up to initiate a 4v5. And you're going to be caught with your pants down. You either give up the objective or risk getting engaged on. And it's something that's it's very hard to deal with, and it is partly due to the way that the meta's evolved in terms of this big split push strategy. And it's something, split pushing has always been in League of Legends, but not to this extent. I don't think. I think split pushing used to be the tactic that you'd run and have someone annoyance top, but you would always never look to engage from it, and you wouldn't try and take objectives. That you just have someone top and send people to deal with it, and then the rest of your team do something else.
Singed is a good example.
But leading on from this, guys, because we've got to wrap up moderately soon. I wanted to run into the jungle and support, and this is something that Zan can pick up on. What do you, there was a big changes in Season 3 to the support role, and they tried to bring out a lot of new items, but essentially, like, supports have still become the ward machine, and that's essentially what they've kind of molded back into, despite all these new items. Like, I barely ever see Shard of True Ice picked up. I think I saw it picked up 1 or 2 games throughout the entire
Best
Season
item.
70s. So, what do you guys think of the current jungle and gold support flows? Gold flows, because they don't get a lot of gold, and unless you're Meteos in the jungle, you find it's hard to get the same amount of gold that any of your laners will get. Do you think this is something that is good in League, or do you think that they need to improve the gold flow in both of these areas?
I think they need to nerf, like, in terms of supports, they need to nerf some ratios on certain champions. I mean, Zyra I'm particularly thinking of is way too powerful with AP at the minute. Like, I still don't think that her ratios are that great, but they're good enough such that if she gets ahead by 1 or 2 levels, she can start soloing mid laners. And that's just completely ridiculous. Like, how can a support just 1v1 a mid at like the 15-minute mark of the game if they're not fed? Like, in my eyes, that's just ridiculous. And also, Fiddle's become particularly bad for it. Sona, to a certain extent, has got pretty bad for it. And the whole idea of supports is that they're meant to be high base stats on their spells, but poor scaling. That's like the entire like meta of what supports were meant to be. And lately, the newer supports that have come out, I'm thinking particularly Thresh, his E, or what used to be his Q, the extra bonus damage on his autos, is one of the most ridiculous mechanics I can think of to put on a support champion. If you're going to give someone free damage, that only ever scales up pretty much through the game, because I mean also he gets AP obviously from collecting souls, so all of his damage goes up in general. If you're going to start focusing things around where they have decent AP scaling, they have decent damage in like the mid-late game, well, I say early, not mid-late game, the mid and then late mid game. If you start doing that with supports, you then start edging out things which were originally core to the support role, such as gold per 10 quints. And gold per 10 quints is one of the main reasons now why supports are really lacking gold, and why they've gone back to being, well, supports have gone back to being these ward bots essentially, is because in lane now, I don't remember the last time I've actually seen a decent support player, anyway, in my opinion, run gold per 10 quints in lane, because it's just useless. If you're going to run anything, it's normally AP, or it's movement speed, or it's extra armor. You're always going for the extra advantage in lane. You don't care about the mid game and the late game in terms of what you're going for your runes. So I think they need to pull back the scaling, and then allow gold per 10 to come back in.
Yeah, and I think what you said there is very true for some supports, and I want to particularly look at the jungle now. Riot have said they're not happy with the way that the jungle works and the amount of gold you generate as a jungler. You often feel very behind coming into the mid game, and you've kind of just like, you're there as a distraction or an initiator, and then you're just there to sort of mill around. And Riot I've often said they want to do more for the jungler, because it feels like you're playing a very mediocre or lackluster role compared to a laner. What do you guys think? Because I'm a jungler by main usually. I've personally never had any trouble in the jungle in terms of getting the items I want if you play correctly. I've always thought that the farm you can get is decent, and the nice increase in gold and the minions is nice. And if you pull off enough ganks, you can often either pick up kills or assists. And often, if you do your job as a jungler properly, that you don't need to have the same amount of gold. But Riot have expressively stated that they don't like the amount of gold that junglers get, and I think it's because a lot of the pro junglers often find that they feel lackluster, and if they don't play their jungle, because jungle is such a fickle role to play. If you play it tiny bit wrong, you're useless. But if you play it tiny bit right, you're the most potent, almost one of the most potent members on your team.
I would suggest that all junglers camp mid lane more, because if you just, to be honest, that's probably the best way for junglers to make gold, if you just gank mid more often.
Well, the problem that I face is that I'm often in jungle forced to roll the dice, either playing them two ways, either playing a super aggressive jungler, that if you pull off a good invade or a good early gank, you're going to be able to snowball, or one where I don't care about gold at all, and I just literally want to set up a team fight. And that just seems crazy to me. Like Lee Sin, literally for how many games have I taken my red buff, legged it to their red buff, and killed someone? And this is at like diamond level. So these are like retarded people, but the whole game I rely on that kind of early game advantage. Or alternatively, I go for someone like Zac or Nautilus, where I'm like, who cares? I've got a crap load of CC, and providing I don't just die straight away, I'm going to be good. There's got to be a balance in between that is good for both of them.
My issue with... Oh, sorry, go on. Go ahead, Space.
I was only going to say, I think it was Andy was saying, camping mid lane is the most efficient thing for a jungler. I want to just say that the reason for that, not just because once a few of the mids have burned or flashed that they've got no gap closers, it's because all of the gold that they can farm is beside mid lane. You're right beside your wolves and your race. Golems aren't efficient to go and farm unless you're near top lane. If you are on blue side, okay, and you go to gank for top lane, where's your gold income if that fails? If you fail a top lane gank and you're on blue side, there is not a single thing for you to farm, and you've got to travel halfway down a map just so you can get some golden EXP if you fail a gank. And that is awful. And
does that open up the window for a further camp to be introduced then?
Well, what it does is that right now in solo queue, if you were going diamond plat solo queue, now almost every jungler does this. If you're on blue side, you start red, blue, top lane. If you think that you can 2v2 as a top laner and a jungler versus their top laner and jungler, you're going to 2v2 meet their jungler top lane and fight. If that fails, or nothing happens, purple side actually benefits because they can go back to farm. Whereas blue side's completely fucked. They've got to go back to their jungle, which is halfway down the map, and they lose out completely from it. What they have said is they are reworking the map next season, and I could imagine they're going to balance out or mirror the jungle so that no matter what lane you go to, there will be some kind of gold income very close to where your lane is.
Yeah, sorry, carry on.
I was only going to say that my current issue with the jungle is a limited choice, because back in Season 2, I know things like Maokai were he was my favourite jungler, personally, but it didn't have to just be Maokai. Things like Lee Sin was still really viable. You could either play that really supporty jungler, or you could play the really aggressive jungler. But now that the jungle seems to be it's less about clear time and more about damage output. I remember somebody telling me, my friend, he's in Gold 3 or something, and I was still running attack speed on my runes, and he said, why do you do that? And I said, because that's what you run in jungle, isn't it? And he said, no, you just go full AD.
Yeah.
Just full AD in the jungle, because there's no point. It's not about the clear time. All you want to do, get your blue buff, get your red buff, gank. That's all it is. That's all you want to do. You just want as much attack damage. And I think, well, that's a really boring way to play the jungle. And he goes, yeah, it is, but that's how you win games. So things
it's the same. I mean, when I run any jungler now that is AD based, I run full AD. It's the only way to clear camps quick enough to get to the ganking potential. Because right now, the jungler is in a state of most junglers will go their bottom buff, their top buff, top lane, and it's a race to see who can get there first.
Yeah.
And that is just the most common jungle path in solo queue right now. People
Or if you're oat germ, it's bottom buff, top buff, mid.
Then mid,
Yeah, mid,
buffs.
mid.
I actually want to expand on what Kieran said about doing. You start from the bottom side of the jungle and go to the top. I dual queue with Kieran quite a bit, and I say to him right at the start of the game, I'll pick Jax, and I'll say, we've got a Lee Sin and a Jax. What's the Lee Sin gonna do? He's gonna go bottom to top. The other jungler has two options. He starts top to bottom, okay, and avoids the top lane 2v2 scenario, or he's dumb and he starts bottom to top, then goes to 2v2, and he gambles, and it happens every single game. And it's
the problem with the top lane is that used to happen less when a ward in top lane was one of the more viable. Like, when people used to start 8-pot 2 ward or something like that. Like that meant that junglers would not gank the top lane because you knew there was no way. But now people are starting Dora and Shield pot because Dora and Shield is broken. Like, just the amount of health regen and extra health you get right now is pretty OP, and the fact it reduces 8 damage per auto attack. People now know that most top laners will not start a ward. So top lane is the most easily gankable lane, and the fact that mid laners now will sometimes start wards or sometimes won't, and also because mid lane is such a short lane, it's often hard to get a decent gank off. You'll almost at best waste a flash unless you get a really decent gank off. In top lane, because it's such a long lane, you can waste a flash and then still get the kill. And that's why, because of just the way that top lane's evolved, and it's because Riot limited the pots. So now starting 5 pots in a ward means you've got all this leftover gold, and you feel a bit lackluster with what you've done with the start thing. Also means you'll get forced out of lane pretty quickly if the other top laner knows what they're doing, and that's just how the top's kind of evolved. That's why top has become mostly the first lane to go. Everyone in solo queue will say, "I start red blue top," or "I start blue red top," and that's just how it goes.
Mine's different at Scoundrel. I start red. Straight to their red.
Yeah, I know what you're like.
Because
that's for your jungler only. That's for your certain champion.
No. Elise, Nautilus, Amumu. I do it on everyone.
What the fuck?
They run the full AD runes, right? So they're forced to chug pots continuously to stay above half HP. So if you go up to their red and you land any kind of stun or any kind of damage with extra red damage on, they're forced to back off from it, and they can't help that. That's how it's gone. And you say you run these flat AD runes, that just means that they're so kind of vulnerable in the jungle always.
I want to actually expand on that just a second, because this was actually things that were happening. Playing at Diamond, there's a few things which people do, which is the red to red strategy, which is only done on more aggressive counter junglers.
Like a Moo.
Yeah. Funnily enough, yeah.
Do it at Diamond, it worked.
There was a game in which I was playing as LeBlanc, and Kieran, I think, was playing the jungler. And we said, at the start of the game, everybody said this, by the way, fucking support even said it, "I'm going to ward the back of your red buff." And it was like, okay, fair enough, because he's the way to come with your red buff. I can bet you any money. What happens? Walks into red buff. Bot lane and mid lane just collapsed on him, first blood.
Yeah.
So yeah, I agree. That happens a lot at higher elo, and especially in rank 5s. The moment somebody goes, "Oh, jungler's in my jungle," you just get the entire team going, "Tell us where he is."
Exactly. But it's the problem is that if you get there too late and he's just done red buff,
and that's
and
what
then
I do.
That's you fucked.
It's a massive gamble, and I'm aware of that.
But when you're running flat AP Amumu, you're never going to lose. Guys, I mean, seriously, if you've got 50 ability power on Amumu, you're not getting away.
That guy is ridiculous.
I want to see it now. Stream it now.
Anyway, ladies, we're going to move on to our last topic, because we're going to have to wrap up fairly soon. Jinx is coming out, and she's supposed to be coming out today or tomorrow. She has abilities that make her pretty potent in both early laning phase and late game. Now she has her Q, which switches between her two guns. Her first gun has Graves range, which is the minigun, and then her second gun gets increased range, much like Cogmore's W, his Bio-Arcane Barrage, much like that. It gets increased range, and she has like 10 less range than Cogmore, so she gets to like a Cogmore-esque range at max rank of it. She also has a skill shot stun grenade type thing, as well as whatever I don't even know what her E does, and then she's got her cross execute, like an Ash Arrow but an execute. So basically,
it's like a Caitlyn ult, basically.
Yeah, like a Caitlyn ult, but you don't have to
Better.
channel
Yeah.
it, and also it does damage based on the percentage of your missing health, so
And
it's a bit of an execute.
global.
And it's global.
And it
So-
looks amazing.
Yeah. So basically, what do you guys think Jinx is going to be like, and do you think she's going to be one of the more overpowered AD carries in the game, or do you think she's going to be like Cogmore and...
I'm running her mid. Doesn't matter. I'm running her mid.
That's exactly what I'm doing as
Riot.
well. She sounds dumb
Riot
as
have been,
fuck,
like,
mid.
Pretty. I don't know. They've not been liking to make champions OP, which is surprising because it doesn't sell their champions very much. So let's hope it's not another Lucian. I mean, I just like the look of her, so I'm gonna play her
Well,
regardless.
She looks like so much fun. Like,
She looks
possibly
good,
the most fun. I'm so excited because if you compare her to Lucian, who do you think is more fun? I mean,
Oh man, Do
Lucian
you remember
had
how
potential.
excited we were over Graves?
yeah.
Like,
Fucking
I'm
Graves on release. Oh
equivalently
my god.
excited.
Yeah, why wouldn't you be excited over release Graves? That's
Oh
pretty
my.
ridiculous.
Do you guys remember, like, fucking releasing Vayne? Like, what was that shit all
Yeah.
about?
Oh, I remember when Vayne was released. Everyone was like, "This is the shittest AD in the game. Why would anyone make this AD?" And
then everyone
then all of a
realised,
sudden it was
oh,
like,
shit.
"No Vayne."
Do you remember release Jarvan?
No, I wasn't that old.
All right, okay. I have a better. Do you guys remember release Nocturne?
Oh no, don't talk about that.
Global-
Fucking the amount of times you used to see Infinity Edge and Bloodthirster Nocturnes. And it's like all of us was literally
Right,
the same
to
age as
Jinx.
TF.
Personally,
Sorry, yeah.
In terms of Jinx, I think that she's going to be very similar to Draven. I think she's going to be a lane bully. But because I've never played her, I reckon, similar to Caitlyn as well. But because I haven't played her, I don't know what items will work on her. Like, me and my flatmate were having this discussion earlier. Like, it'll either be Bloodthirster Last Whisper, or it'll be the Rush IE. But it depends on how her AD scalings work, because someone like Caitlyn, because her scalings are so good, you generally rush the IE because she's better in the late game. But somebody like Draven, because of his early dominance, you want to rush as much damage as you can for that early game pressure. So you go for the Bloodthirster Last Whisper. So I'm really curious as to see how she scales, because I reckon that will really dictate how she'll be played.
What
No,
I'm
I-
calling it now. She's gonna be Urgot version 2.
Do you
That's
reckon?
what I'm saying. She's either gonna be, at any point in time, she'll either be broken or useless. That is my call. She's only gonna be one end of the scale or the other. She's not gonna be anywhere in between.
What
Because-
scares me is how fast her abilities are able to be used, because like what struck me is her laser seems pretty slow. Her grenades the ones that stun might actually be like really slow to use, and in that case she's going to be useless. But on the other hand,
Thing is-
if they work swimmingly, then it's going to be amazing.
How do you, if you were playing as Jinx, how on earth would you ever survive a Vi Shen gank? Like,
You
how do you
don't.
escape that?
You don't,
Exactly, you
and
just
that's
die.
our
You
that's
just
our
wipe
counterplay,
out.
because
That's
she
a
has.
counterplay. It's like Cogmore. Like Cogmore is brutal if you leave him alone, but you gank him, he's got nothing. He's got nothing to
Yeah,
say
no.
about it.
And this is what I mean, though. It's like, she's only ever going to be, if you've got a lane, or if you've got a team rather, which is really easy at getting into the backline and has a lot of control, like I said, like Vi Shen's like just, that's pretty common combo really, but like that kind of idea, if you have that on the enemy team, you're never going to pick Jinx, because it's a dumb idea, right? Like, you're not going to pick someone that doesn't have a jump or some form of self-defense to get away from like two really heavy, dominant characters like that. You can play her in, like, I guess, more safe games, but
Well, that's why I like the way the bot lane is. Bot lane is once obviously the Triforce gets nerfed a little bit more, bot lane will be so balanced.
Yeah.
because MF will
Maybe.
come back in. I think MF's going to come back into favour. Graves will come back into favour due to Triforce being nerfed again, if it does get nerfed, that is, because the only reason that Graves got pushed out was because of the meta change, which was obviously pushing down towers early. And the problem that Graves had was he didn't have the range to actually, poke down the enemy top laner, as we're going to call them, and then do the tower as well, because he was too almost in range for tower aggro.
On that note, did you know that I didn't know this, right? But Graves has a smaller range than Vayne.
Yeah.
She actually has a
Yeah.
which I had no idea. I'm sitting there thinking,
Graves is like
I
525, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's
And Vayne's is like
525,
540.
550.
550.
It's 550, and then the majority of AD carries sit on
575.
575.
Ash
Yeah,
is
and then
600.
600 with Varus as well. Varus is 600, I think.
Yeah,
And
Caitlyn's
then you've obviously got
650.
Caitlyn at the top, yeah.
That's why Varus is a comp pick against Caitlyn, because he doesn't
Yeah,
get
exactly.
bullied as hard.
Very yeah. But like, this is also why people say, I don't know why, but people say Graves counters Varus, and I sit there and think, why? I play a lot of Varus. And
It's because Varus has no real escape mechanism. And Graves got a skill shot. A dash ability as well as a high burst skill shot. If you can get in range of Graves in range of Varus to get a 3-bullet or even a 2-bullet buckshot off, you do a lot of damage. And then just by using attack moving and the quick draw attack speed bonus, you can actually burst him down before he can burst you down. It's just the fact that Graves beats Varus because his burst is a lot quicker than Varus's burst. And
It's
you
also
get in range.
because Graves is passive as well. It means that he's
Yeah.
not very easily harassable to long range, so
Give
that's why
Graves
Graves is
fire
very
range.
good-ish against Kate.
Screw range. Blitzcrank Jace.
That was such
That's
no lane.
shit. So shit.
It's not shit. Me and Theory won so many games.
That's
with
like
Blitzcrank Jace.
saying, oh yeah, Space and Spookies Hook City is viable. It's really not.
What about Oriana Jace? Me and Rod used to run that in NUL like the first half of last season, like every game. People didn't know how to deal with it.
I remember
The first-
Rod's playing
the first-
fucking Jace. I think that was because he was OP-ish. That's because Jace was OP as shit back then.
Yeah,
I think that was more than that. Like his E used to like chunk you for like 12% of your health in one go. like what is that? You didn't even need to level it. It was like a one level ability.
Didn't I for one kill like once we pushed up to the turret and I just flashed over the wall by turret, grabbed someone and you just killed them in one shot. It was something ridiculous.
Yeah, it
We've got it
was-
recorded somewhere.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
It's so funny. That used to be amazing.
That's another
But,
champion who didn't have counterplay as well for a while.
Yeah.
Fucking
But I'll
Jace-
tell you,
Jace.
thing
Jace
about
received a lot of nerfs, yeah.
what I thought interesting, going back to the bot lane now, was the fact that a lot of champions. I mean, I think Genja illustrated this the most, right? And I remember seeing an interview with him where everyone was like, "Why do you build Trinity Force on someone like Cogmore?" And he goes, "Well, basically, I build it because champions that lack mobility get mobility with Trinity Force." And I sat there and thought, no, that's rubbish. If any of you, right, have ever played against an Ezreal who runs Trinity Force, you cannot keep up with him.
No.
Like, ever. Like, his mobility is ridiculous. Now, if you think about a Cogmore who has something like 2 attack speed, if he's constantly hitting you, he's constantly getting that movement speed, so he can constantly kite you. So having this Trinity Force, I think, has really enabled AD carries to be a lot more independent and a lot less reliant on their supports, which is why I think champions like Leona have come into favour a lot more, because they can actually get into the fray and not have to worry about the AD carry, because they can just kite for themselves.
That's why I
And
like the AD carry meta right now. Beforehand, I don't know if you remember Doublelift saying that he hated playing AD carry
Yeah.
because AD carry was it was completely irrelevant at the point where mid and top and jungle, tanky bruisers and assassins, it was like, oh, so what are we going to do? Well, I'm playing Vayne. Oh, well, that's the game fucked now, isn't it? And it's a shame because AD carry is a great role, and it requires synergy with another person, like close synergy. And the idea that supporting AD carry is seen as one of the roles that needs babysitting, and supports are completely supports in teamfights are influential. Map control, they're influential as hell, but they don't feel item influence, and for them to give the AD carry all of the gold, and other AD carries are just being their weaknesses are showing so hard. Like you see Graves is supposed to be a lane bully. Where is he now? Because you've got Caitlyn, who's also a lane bully, but she's got almost 200 range more than him, and does his job better, and pushes towers, and is in the meta. MF, what's wrong with MF is mobility problems. Triforce might be good, but that's just the way it is. It's just the meta.
Maybe this comes back to, the mid lane meta and the fact that they can just kill out. I mean, as soon as that's dealt with, as soon as the fact that a mid lane can't just rape you in the ass when you're an AD carry.
I prefer the all-in meta. Like, do you remember back when it was like, remember when Xin Zhao, right? Now Xin Zhao had his audacious charge, and then he used to ult, and it would back everyone except from his target away.
Yeah.
Like that, he would die from that because he had to go in on his target. Like there was no escape for him. He goes in and he dies. That's what he does. Same with Talon and Kali. They go in and die, or that's it. They go in and die trying.
Yeah, of course. That was back in the. If any of you used to read MOBA Fire guides,
yeah.
right? I mean, I remember reading who was it? A brand guide, right? And they basically said, as long as you get your combo down, it doesn't matter if you die. Just get your combo down. That's all that matters. Just get a combo down onto anyone. It doesn't matter. As long as you get your combo down, it doesn't matter. You're welcome to die.
Do you remember when Brand was OP? Brand was
I
fucking annoying.
I miss Brand. Brand is still OP.
Brand was fun because the whole idea that as long as you could unload your jizz on someone else, then it didn't matter, right? As long as you could flash and just fucking W and R and jizz came out of your pants, right? That's all that mattered. Playing Talon and E'ing onto someone and just ulting your entire team.
The good old
shit was fun.
Can I just say? Really relevant YouTube link right now. Really, really relevant.
Have you guys seen Annie Guide for playing Annie in the late game? She says she basically says that. So he basically says that if you're playing Annie in the late game, the only way you're going to stay relevant in the late game is if you flash Tibbers their carries.
Yeah, if you flash Tibber your carries, or you manage to get a 5-man stun. Oh my god, that music! I'm turning that off now. It's a little bit raw, I think, for me.
But I definitely agree. It's somehow we've managed to get from Jinx to the meta again.
I think the meta's more interesting. We know what Jinx is going to be.
Yeah. Just as a final point, I would say that because I love assassins. I mean, if any of you look at my match history, it's basically just Ari Zed Fizz. But I mean, I play them because they win me games, not because necessarily they're fun. But the champions that I really enjoy are champions like Victor, Malzahar, Veigar, those good old AP mages where all you did was drop your combo and die.
That's Xerath.
Those are the good old days. And the truly skilled ones, the god people who would flash in and kill, were the ones who bought Mejai's, because it doesn't matter if you died, because you would only lose.
You were a hero.
You'd only lose 1 stack, but you'd gain 2, so it was always worth it. So,
do you remember when Bloodthirster was changed? Remember how on Bloodthirster, right? I remember running us as Talon. This was my Talon build, right? You would get your boots 1, then you would stack 3 Bloodthirsters, and then you would contemplate Last Whisper, depending on how fed you were. And the fun thing was when you had 4 Bloodthirsters. I had 4 Bloodthirsters. That was my thing, right? And then you Last Whisper, right? If you died, you lost all your stacks and you have to start again. But it was see when you got stacks on it, right, and you jumped onto people and you just wiped them from the game. It was you went into the program, into the code, and we're deleted variable. It was like that, and it was good. It was good fun, and the whole risk reward thing was great. It was exciting. Morgana, remember Ken and Morgana, the running our combo, or even Sion. Sion was good fun.
Shut up, Sion was never fun and does not deserve to be a champion.
Right.
I love that.
Anyway,
shit.
I think we're veering completely off topic here now. So I'm going to have to say we're going to wrap it up now, guys. We've been going for a hell of a lot longer than we were supposed to be going for. So I'd like to say thank you to all for coming on. So Space, Dan, Andy, Avidius, Zenogra, Sebastian, Tom, Theory Baby, and obviously Josh, and I'm Kiernan, I'm Scoundrel. Had a really good time. Hopefully we'll be doing this every so often, probably after a couple of tournaments or so. We might have different special guests for you next time, so thank you to Zan and Andy for coming along, and hopefully we'll see you guys next time.
Okay, thank you very much. And just
cheers, guys.
at the end of the
Sweet.
point with the stream, make sure to be checking out our Twitter page at the Newell, not Newell, the Newell, I think, and also our Facebook page as well. And also make sure to keep check on League of Legends UK Reddit as well for any kind of updates. We update all the time and they get stickied by me, so make sure to just keep updated. Is that everything for everyone else?
If anyone wants tickets for the Cardiff Hype Train, just message me and they can have one.
That's gonna get really hard to reel quite soon, my friend. Just wait, man. I'm gonna come back to mid lane and I'm gonna play for Dundee and I'm gonna show you that Super 8. So yeah, thank you for watching, guys. And
Yeah,
if there's
cheers for
anything
watching,
else,
guys.
Cheers.
Then let me know. Okay, bye, guys, and have a good
Bye.
time.